The light tank Mark VI was the backbone of the British armoured force at the outbreak of World War II. Designed primarily for reconnaissance, this tank reflected pre-war thinking that speed and mobility mattered more than heavy armour. Weighing just over 5 tons, the Mark VI was fast, agile and easy to maintain, making it ideal for scouting enemy positions and relaying battlefield intelligence. However, when war broke out in 1939 and combat realities changed rapidly, its weaknesses became painfully clear. Armed only with machine guns, the light tank Mark VI stood little chance against German panzer divisions during the Battle of France in 1940. Its thin armour could barely withstand small-caliber fire, let alone anti-tank guns. British crews often relied on speed and evasive tactics to survive, darting through terrain to avoid direct confrontation. Despite its shortcomings, the tank served valiantly in early campaigns across France, North Africa, and even the Middle East. Ultimately, the Mark VI symbolized the transition from interwar military theory to modern mechanized warfare. Though outclassed, it played a critical role in buying time while Britain rushed to develop more powerful armored vehicles. It was a humble beginning in a war that would redefine tank combat forever. The light tank Mark VII, better known as the Tetrarch, was one of the most unusual tanks of World War II. Small, lightweight, and innovative, it featured a unique steering system that allowed its tracks to bend, making it exceptionally maneuverable. But what truly set the Tetrarch apart was its ability to be transported by air, a revolutionary concept at the time. This tank was designed specifically for airborne operations and became one of the first tanks in history to be deployed by parachute or glider. During the D-Day landings, Tetrarch tanks landed with British airborne forces, providing much-needed fire support immediately after landing. Armed with a 2-pounder gun, it was capable of engaging light-armored targets and infantry positions. Despite its groundbreaking role, the Tetrarch saw limited production and service. Mechanical issues and its light armour restricted its effectiveness against heavier German forces. Still, it remains a symbol of British innovation and bold experimentation during the war, proving that even tanks could take to the skies. The infantry tank Mark II, famously known as the Matilda II, earned a legendary reputation during the early years of World War II. Built like a fortress on tracks, the Matilda II featured exceptionally thick armour for its time, so strong that early German and Italian anti-tank guns simply bounced off it. This made it a terror on the battlefields of North Africa. Armed with a 2-pounder gun, the Matilda II was designed to advance slowly alongside infantry, absorbing enemy fire while crushing defensive positions. During Operation Compass, British Matildas devastated Italian forces, often advancing untouched through enemy lines. Axis troops reportedly panicked upon encountering them, as their weapons proved ineffective. However, as the war progressed, stronger German guns and improved tactics began to erode the Matilda's dominance. Its slow speed and limited firepower became liabilities. Still, for a crucial moment in the Desert War, the Matilda II ruled supreme, a true queen of the battlefield. The Valentine tank was one of Britain's most successful and reliable armoured vehicles of World War II. Simple, dependable, and produced in enormous numbers, it served in nearly every theatre of the war, from the deserts of North Africa to the frozen Eastern Front with Soviet forces. Its low profile made it difficult to spot, while its sturdy construction ensured excellent battlefield survivability. Though not the fastest or most heavily armed tank, the Valentine earned respect for its mechanical reliability, something British crews deeply appreciated. Later variants improved armour and firepower, with the Mark XI mounting a powerful 6-pounder gun. The chassis proved so adaptable that it became the foundation for several successful self-propelled guns. The Valentine may not have been glamorous, but it was dependable. In war, reliability often matters more than raw power, and the Valentine delivered exactly that. The Churchill tank was one of the most iconic and heavily armoured British tanks of World War II. Designed for infantry support, it featured exceptional armour thickness and incredible climbing ability. Where other tanks bogged down, the Churchill kept going, crossing trenches, rubble, and steep terrain with ease. The Mark VII version represented the peak of Churchill development, combining thick armour with improved armament. Crews loved it for its survivability. Many walked away from hits that would have destroyed other tanks. Specialized variants like the NA-75 even mounted American guns, increasing battlefield flexibility. Though slow, the Churchill excelled in difficult terrain, particularly in Italy and northwest Europe. It became a symbol of British resilience, slow, steady, and unstoppable. The Crusader was the defining British tank of the North African campaign. Designed for speed and maneuver warfare, it embodied the cruiser tank doctrine: strike fast, hit hard, and move on. On paper, the Crusader looked impressive, with high speed and decent firepower. In reality, it was plagued by mechanical issues. Engines overheated in desert conditions, and breakdowns were common. Still, it formed the backbone of British armoured forces during critical battles against Rommel's Afrika Korps. Despite its flaws, the Crusader played a vital role in holding the line until better designs arrived. It represents both the ambition and growing pains of British tank development during the war. The Cromwell tank marked a turning point for British armoured design. Fast, reliable, and powered by the legendary Rolls-Royce Meteor engine, it finally gave British crews a tank that could match German armour in speed and mobility. Armed with a 75mm gun, the Cromwell was effective against infantry and medium tanks. Its speed made it ideal for exploitation and rapid advances following breakthroughs. British armoured units used it extensively after the Normandy landings. The Cromwell restored confidence in British tank design and laid the groundwork for even more advanced vehicles to come. The Comet was arguably the finest British cruiser tank of World War II. Arriving late in the war, it combined speed, armour, and firepower into a balanced and deadly package. Its 77mm high-velocity gun could penetrate German Panthers while maintaining excellent mobility. Crews praised its handling and reliability. Though it missed most of the war, the Comet demonstrated what British engineers had learned through years of hard experience. It bridged the gap between wartime designs and the post-war Centurion, marking the future of tank warfare. The Sherman Firefly was Britain's answer to Germany's heavy tanks. By mounting the devastating 17-pounder gun into the American Sherman, British engineers created one of the most feared Allied tanks of the war. Capable of destroying Panthers and Tigers at long range, Fireflies were carefully positioned within tank units to counter German armour. Enemy crews learned to identify and target them first. The Firefly proved that ingenuity could overcome technological disadvantages, changing the balance of armoured warfare. The Archer was one of the most unconventional tank destroyers of the war. Built on the Valentine chassis, it mounted a powerful 17-pounder gun facing backward, a design choice that allowed crews to fire and retreat instantly. This shoot-and-scoot capability made the Archer deadly in ambush roles. German tanks often drove straight into carefully prepared kill zones without realizing the danger. Despite its odd appearance, the Archer was highly effective and respected by its crews. The Daimler armoured car was one of the finest reconnaissance vehicles of World War II. Fast, well-armoured, and armed with a 2-pounder gun, it could fight its way out of trouble if needed. Its four-wheel drive and excellent handling made it ideal for scouting missions. Many consider it the best Allied armoured car of the war. The Universal Carrier was the most produced armoured vehicle in British history. Versatile, reliable, and simple, it performed countless roles, from troop transport to weapon platform. It served on every front and became a symbol of British adaptability. The Churchill Crocodile was terror on tracks. Armed with a flamethrower and towing a fuel trailer, it cleared bunkers with devastating psychological effect. Few weapons struck more fear into enemy defenders. The AEC Matador was the backbone of British heavy artillery logistics. Powerful, reliable, and capable of towing massive guns, it kept the army firing. The BSAM-20 was the most common British motorcycle of the war. Slow, but nearly indestructible, it carried messages, scouted roads, and connected the battlefield.